To prepare for our meditation, we'll also honor the inclusivity of this beautiful group that we are in and our Latino members of Cece's family, of Crystal Coast's family. You are the essence of pure divinity. Your loving heart reflects the love in me. May we walk this life together in unity, for you are worthy, 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 are worthy, worthy. Eres la esencia de la pura divinidad. Tu corazón refleja el amor en mí. Que podamos caminar esta vida juntos en unidad, porque eres digno, 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 eres digno, digno. You are the essence of pure divinity. Your loving heart reflects the love in me. May we walk this life together in unity, for you are worthy, 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 worthy. You are worthy, worthy.
You are worthy. If it's comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Move from that physical outer eye of seeing the world to that inner eye and seeing the power, the presence, the light, the love. The overwhelming presence of spirit. When we go within and we look with our inner eyes, we see the truth that there are no differences in spirit, in possibility. That when we expand our presence away from that small s self and move in the direction of being the presence of love, there is only one. And when we know there is only one, we stand in the awareness of worthiness. We stand in the presence of truth. We know ourselves as emissaries of love, individualized expressions of truth that are here to behold the Christ presence in everything we meet, everything we see. To behold the possibility of awakening for ourselves and for each other. We hold the power of possibility that love will descend like a gentle bird and bring with it peace, harmony, oneness. And so, with intention, we turn our awareness within to that infinite wellspring. The presence of the one. We are each individualized expressions of love. And so, sitting in the stillness and the silence, we listen. Aligning ourselves with the one. Knowing ourselves as the presence of love, we sit in the stillness and the silence to know the truth. And so now, as a community of believers, let's step into that silence, into that stillness of spirit, knowing that we are worthy, and that in fact all beings are worthy. With our inner eyes turned toward truth, we know that power and presence, that light and that love is always available. There is nothing we must do. There is an unlimited wellspring in spirit. And with our eyes fixed here, we see that there is only one. There is only one. And from that truth, we celebrate worthiness. The grace of the living Spirit moving us forward to understand in truth that we are one. And with intention and attention, we bring our presence, our awareness back into this manifest playground of planet Earth. And we bring with us this truth. All people are worthy. And this we know when we look with spiritual eyes. and so it is, and so we let it be.
Eres la esencia de la pura divinidad. Your loving heart reflects the love in me. Que podamos caminar desde la vida juntos en unidad. For you are worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy, and we celebrate you. We celebrate all of the members of our community. We celebrate our Latino members. We love you. And as we prepare for Rev Todd's message, I'm going to sing this one. This is one of mine as well. And you can sing along with me too. The truth of my divinity is my rock. You can sing that with me. Of my divinity is my rock. Here we go. My rock, truth is my rock. My rock, truth is my rock. The truth of my divinity is my rock. The truth of my divinity is my rock. Would you sing that? The truth of my divinity is my rock. My rock, my rock. Here we go. My rock, truth is my rock. My rock, truth is my rock. The truth of my divinity is my life. The truth of my divinity is my life. The truth of my divinity is my life, is my life. My rock, here we go. My rock, truth is my life. My life, truth is my life. We're just gonna chant my rock. My rock, truth is 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 my rock. The truth of my divinity is my rock. The truth of my divinity is my rock. My rock, truth is my rock. My rock, truth is my rock. My rock, truth is my rock.
So she's moved me to tears today already. Deidrey, thank you. Um, I can't wait to see where we go today. Because I've got pages and pages, and this keeps rewriting itself. But I set a timer down there, so I know how long I've been talking, so I won't keep you here too long. Is anybody familiar with Moshe the Beetle? No, Moshe the Beetle. Anybody remember this? No. Um, I got introduced to a new book last night, and I started reading it. And this is an excerpt. Why do you cry when you pray? He asked, as though he knew me well. We've been talking about prayer. Y'all remember this, right? Okay. So why do you cry when you pray? He asked, as though he knew me well. I don't know, I answered, troubled. I had never asked myself that question. I cried because something inside me felt the need to cry. That was all I knew. Why do you pray? He asked after a moment. Why did I pray? Strange question. Why did I live? Why did I breathe? I don't know, I told him, even more troubled and ill at ease. I don't know. From that day on, I saw him often. He explained to me with great emphasis that every question possessed a power that was lost in the answer. Man comes closer to God through the questions he asks him, he liked to say. Therein lies true dialogue. Man asks and God replies. But we don't understand his replies. We cannot understand them because they dwell in the depths of our souls and remain there until we die. The real answers you will find only within yourself. And why do you pray, Moshe? I asked him. I pray to the God within me for the strength to ask him the real questions. And why do we pray? I've got to turn up the lights because, I need extra light to see these days. I pray to the God within me for the strength to ask the real questions. I've had to ask some real questions this week, and so this is all going to come together. I promise. I have faith in that. A couple years ago, I went to the UMAS retreat, and I got to hear the daily word spoken in multiple languages, and it moved me. And it was a thing for an invitation to be aware of our diversity. And as soon as I got back, I started doing that on a weekly basis. At the time, when I looked around our congregation, in that moment, we had at least 5 people who showed up on a regular basis that spoke Spanish. That was 10% of our membership. And we had 2 people that spoke Portuguese. Had a couple of people who spoke French. And we started reading the daily word in multiple languages. And the reason this came up at UMAS is because of my friend Reverend Christine Garza. And here's something that she wrote that you can find if you want to read it. It's on unity.org. Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated in the United States every year from September 15th through October 15th. It is a time to honor and celebrate the history, culture, and contributions of Americans of Latin American ancestry, as well as the rich heritage of the peoples of Latin America in general. This national observance began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week and was expanded in 1988 to a month-long period that was formally signed into law. The celebration begins on September 15th to coincide with and honor the anniversaries of independence in Mexico, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Chile, which all fall in mid-September. I didn't know all that. So I got to thinking after a conversation this week, and I found this other article that it's important as people who are striving to ask the right questions and to see the truth of our oneness, to identify worthiness everywhere we look, which means that we have to overcome a lot of the thinking and the programming and the ideas that we've been given over the years. And this is from Dr. Norma Irish Rosado. During the 1940s, two professional women with great vision, faith, and strength of character fulfilled a great dream: to bring to Puerto Rico the philosophy of life followed and taught by Unity School of Christianity at Unity Village, Missouri. They were Rafaela Melendez and her younger sister Conchita, two outstanding educators. Rafaela, who was a Spanish teacher, visited Unity Village for the first time during the 1940s and was healed of an illness that she suffered. After that transformative experience, she decided to introduce Unity teachings in Puerto Rico. And she was the first Hispanic minister ordained by Unity. In 1945, she started informal meetings on the island to study Unity principles, first at the Puerto Rican Athenaeum and then at the Carnegie Library in San Juan. In 1959, with her sister, she officially founded the first Spanish Unity ministry, Her Heartfelt Dream, in a building at Coronado Street. The current temple, located on Victoria Street in San Churse, I'm sure I'm butchering some of these names, and I apologize for that. That current temple was inaugurated in 1969. It was the fruit of a process guided by faith and certainty that God was the source. When the task seemed too arduous and the money appeared to be scarce, the words of Rafaela resounded, reminding others with great conviction and loving authority, this is what the congregation needs, and God will provide the substance. She also prophesied with absolute conviction, at the new building there will be a substantial increase of the congregation and we will all be prosperous. For those who love God, everything is possible. This prophecy became a tangible fact through the years. The temple was built at an onerous cost for those times, yet the loan was repaid much earlier than the due date. Yes, God provided and continues to provide. For those who love God, everything is possible. Say that with me. For those who love God, everything is possible. I have been overwhelmed in the past couple of weeks and days, especially days, and I've had to make sure I'm asking the right questions, because I love God and I believe everything is possible, and yet sometimes I get stuck. Y'all ever get stuck? Last night I volunteered at the local community theater, the Elysian Players. They're doing Chicago, and so I was an usher helping people find their seats. Y'all remember Chicago, whether you've seen that or not, Chicago. And one of the great, I know the people on the board there, and I know that it is with great carefulness that they pick the shows they're going to do. There's no surprise to me that they did Chicago, right? Because one of the one of my favorite numbers in the show is they both reached for the gun. They both reached for the gun. They both reached for the gun because they're trying to explain away why Roxy shot her lover. But earlier in the play, we see what actually happens, and you know what? They did not both reach for the gun. They did not both reach for the gun. Then, this hunger, this desire for notoriety, to be famous, to be in the newspapers, to be on vaudeville, led her to announce that she was with child. And that wasn't true either. And we love God in an absolute earnest desire to know truth, capital T truth, the absolute unchanging experience of life, of this unfolding of our consciousness. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there is some untruth in the world. There is some manipulation that happens. Have y'all noticed that? Shocking. It is shocking. It's also, I was very disturbed this week. This is from People Magazine online. I was disturbed this week. A Presbyterian pastor who was captured on video being shot in the head with a pepper ball by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents during a protest in Illinois last month claimed that the officers were laughing while firing. He said, she said. Now, I've seen the video, and he did indeed get shot in the head. He did get shot in the head with a pepper ball, and then he got sprayed in the face with pepper spray. Now, his story is that he had been praying and that they were not blocking the road, and this is Reverend David Black of Chicago. See, we're tying things together a little bit. Chicago. Tricia McLaughlin, she's an assistant secretary with the Department of Homeland Security, said that this is the same pastor who flipped off officials from Homeland Security. Now, he denies that he flipped anybody off. They say he did. They say he was blocking the traffic with a bunch of protesters. They say they were on the sidewalk. He says there were no ICE vehicles attempting to leave the facility. I was standing to the side in a gesture of prayer and praying verbally for the ICE officers and those inside. I find it interesting that this individual believes I flipped them the bird because theologically, as I have been praying for all of these people, I've been hoping that the Holy Spirit will descend upon them and open their hearts and minds. He added, to the extent that the Holy Spirit appears as a bird, perhaps there is a spiritual truth to her claim. What is the truth? I don't know if you've heard about this recently. They announced that the halftime Super Bowl show is going to be Bad Bunny. And if you are like me, you don't know who Bad Bunny is. I don't know Bad Bunny. He is a rapper who raps in Spanish. Puerto Rico. He's from Puerto Rico. He is from Puerto Rico. And I am hoping desperately that people realize this, but Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States, and that means he is a U.S. citizen. And people have lost their minds that the show at the Super Bowl will be in Spanish. That is just un-American. Now, we've had a bunch of people that have performed at the Super Bowl in English who were not Americans. Can you believe that? And then, so as a result of this, there was all this publicity that Coca-Cola had announced that they were pulling their sponsorship. Did y'all know that? Pulling their sponsorship. The truth is that Coca-Cola has not even advertised it during the Super Bowl since 2020. They are not a sponsor. This was likely an AI-generated meme to create more division in the world, to make us stop seeing that everyone is worthy. Everyone is worthy, whether they're an Italian who only speaks and writes in Spanish. Y'all know who I'm talking about? That's Christopher Columbus. He is credited with being from Italy, from Genoa, and so he had a Genoan dialect to the Spanish he spoke and wrote in, though he was also fluent in Latin. He's come up in the news recently because President Trump has re-emphasized that it is not Indigenous Peoples Day, that it is Columbus Day. Columbus, who started immigration to the United States. Because before Columbus, they were all indigenous peoples who were worthy. Just like Columbus was worthy. Just like our Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters are worthy. Just like our sisters and brothers who speak Portuguese, which Columbus is also reportedly fluent in, are worthy. We're all worthy, and we keep paying attention to these false separations here in playground planet Earth, and then deciding what we're going to believe. And I tell you what, I use AI. I use it, and I bet I can come up with a story that would make people lose their minds, and they would believe it in a moment. But we have to make sure that we're asking the right questions. Moshe the beetle, who said, "I pray to God within me for the strength to ask him the right questions," was an immigrant in the town where he lived, where he was talking to this young boy about the Kabbalistic faith. And there came a day when Moshe, along with everyone else that lived in this town in Hungary, got loaded up on a train and sent away because they were immigrants. They were being relocated. And a couple of days later, Moshe was back sitting in front of the temple. And our author said, "Where have you been? What's going on?" And Moshe started sounding the alarm. He started telling people what happened. They took us out into the woods, into this big forest, and they made everybody dig trenches, and then they lined up and they started shooting people and killing them to fall into the trenches. And he got shot in the leg and played dead, and then he was able to escape and make it back to the city. And he kept sounding the alarm. This is bad. You need to know what is happening. And people ignored him. Oh, he's crazy. He's making stuff up. And they continued to believe that he was making stuff up until suddenly all of the Jews in the community, they weren't allowed to be out at night. And then suddenly, the communities that they lived in, everybody had to move into two neighborhoods, a ghetto. They got placed in the Jewish ghetto, and they surrounded the lots with barbed wire fences. And if you lived at the edge of that, the side of your house that faced the rest of the non-Jewish community, you had to board up your windows. And this was before the Nazis came into power in Hungary. This is from the book Night by Eli Wiesel. I'm probably not saying that right either. I blame that on being from Appalachia, and I put extra vowels and everything. There was a time in the history of this country where we talk a lot about freedom, where people were lying about their age to go to war to fight fascism. And now with creative storytelling, we have memes all over this country about how the Antifa are bad people. And this is going to be really difficult to digest. There are no bad people. There are no bad people. There are individualized expressions of love who make bad choices, who have bad behaviors, who do things that are not life-giving. And if we meet the energy of anger and falsehood with more anger and more falsehood, we are not creating beloved community in the world. We're not. I pray to the God within me for the strength to ask the real questions. The title of today's talk is called I Know God, because it's coming from a song written by Denise Rossier that I worked with this week in where she was sitting at a traffic light and had to ask the right questions because she was stuck with this religion that she had been a part of. And she, these are her words. I was sitting at a stoplight on the way to work, and while I sat there, I thought about the struggle I'd been having in my heart over church. I'd spent the majority of my life active in a big evangelical church in California, and there I was sitting at a stoplight in my 40s thinking it just didn't feel like a match anymore. All those beliefs I'd held onto for so long no longer rang true, but setting them aside made me feel like I was betraying something that would have dire consequences. Have you ever felt like that you're about to betray that which you have built a life on? That's a struggle. But I couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that my spirit was heading in a different direction. It took me a long time to be willing to say that out loud, but I did right there at that light while I waited to see if lightning bolts would rain down on me. I felt something new, lightness, openness, a sense of freedom I hadn't known before. Asking the right questions and then listening creates a lightness. It brings us to the awareness of that unlimited wellspring of life, substance, intelligence, of love, of power, of presence, where we know that in spirit all is well. And then it's our responsibility to do something in the manifest world to bring forth beloved community, to do something in the manifest world where we celebrate worthiness of everyone else instead of creating artificial barriers like a barbed wire fence to keep people separate. And we have to stop keeping each other separate with the labels we create, with the stories we tell, the stories that may or may not be true. And see, here's the thing about our spiritual truth, our consciousness, is that we have free will. We are free to choose what we will believe. I am free to choose what I will believe. And I can place my belief and my faith into this manifest playground, or I can place my faith and my belief that we are all worthy. That we are individualized expressions of the one, and that I have the choice, that you have the choice, you have the free will in every moment to overcome ideas of lack and limitation, overcome appearances, and know the truth that every person we look at and think, I bless you, because you are worthy, not because you've done something or not done something else, but because you have the breath of life. We are all worthy. All of us. And in her song, Denise says that the chorus, like it came straight through, like it was channeled out. I will give love, I will speak peace, all because of the love that's got a hold of me, so wide open, so amazing, it takes my breath away when it occurs to me. In a world where so many feel lost, I know God. Asking the right questions at the right time and listening, that just channeled right through her. The same way that the songs that Deidrey brought me to tears with today, there's not a song out there that sings worthy in 2 different languages. She wrote that. That came through her. And that same energy is in and as and through you, waiting to be channeled into this world to be the presence of love. In whatever languages you speak, in whatever dialects you use. You have the power to be the hands and the feet of God, of love. But to do that, you can't use your physical eyes. You have to use your spiritual eyes. And that's the way we make a world that works for all. That's the way we continuously show up as the presence, as the power, embodied as love. To be present. Because in the manifest world, there are people who use their free will to believe ideas of lack and limitation, of separation. Including me. Because every time I label someone, because when we label somebody, we're putting them in a box. And when we put people in a box, we might as well be putting them behind a barbed wire fence. When we put them in a box, we might as well be telling them they need to dig a trench because that's where we're going to bury them. And we must overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome because we are willing and committed to asking the right questions and listening. And listening. And listening that we might know the right question to ask. It takes my breath away in a world where so many feel lost. And sometimes I feel lost. And then I remember, I know God. I know God. I know God. Say that with me. I know God. And I am grateful. And so it is. Thank you, friends.
Thank you for your beautiful message, Rev Todd. This reminded me of a song that Daniel Namod wrote. And so I honor Daniel Namod for this song. One power. We know God, we may give God many names. As long as we remember that it is the love that is within us. There's one power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power indescribable, and you speak of it in every word you say. Mysterious until you know the truth. As simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baula, angels' wings or heaven's door. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. We speak so many languages, have different clothing, different colors, different names. But different is only dangerous when we forget that in our hearts we're all the same. And we'll remember when we close our eyes and see that such distances were never meant to be. Oh, call it God, call it Spirit, Call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Paola, angels' wings or heaven's door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul and it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. Oh, one power, one power, one power. It's the moment of creation. It is an everlasting peace. It is the freedom of forgiveness and the sweetness of release. It is the joy of inspiration. It's the sunshine on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of a baby, the serenity of sleep. It is the anger we abandon for a love that's most deep. It is one power. It is one power. Yeah. What we are is that one power. One power. One power. It is the power of the love that lives forever in you and me. It is the power of the love in you and in me. One power. One power in us all.